Right. Oh, not the camera. Sorry about that. I'm going to do this workshop, these 4 steps to better portraits. Primarily because somebody said to me yesterday that I was a great artist. And I immediately thought, no, I'm not, as you would. But what I said was, I just figured it out. I I do these all the time, and obviously, the more you do it, the better you get. That's a kind of given. But at the same time, I have a particular approach to this. So I'm going to put it into a workshop. This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to do it over 4 weeks, but it's not time dependent because you'll be able to do it any time. And it's also not a week's worth of watching me talk and explain stuff. It's more about me giving you the insights. So the 4 steps, or if you want to call it 4 weeks, is that the first one of all the things that matter the most. This is the most important one, and that is that you have to have the right mindset. You have to reset. Even if you're already making portraits, you'll have a perception of what success is, and you'll have goals and ambitions and all that sort of thing that and ideals that govern how you make portraits, both in terms of how you produce them and how whether what you decide what is a success or not. Apart from the obvious facts, likeness and stuff. So those really have to be primarily examined and possibly reset. This is the problem. The big problem is with a lot of people is that they have a kind of a warped perception of what portraits are, and it's it's from many of us, including me, it was conditioned into us that these are great portraits. Look at this, look at this, look at this. This is how good you should be. That kind of thing. And that has to go. That has to go, completely go. So in the first week, that's the objective. We have to get rid of that, whatever it takes. Asking yourself why, and there'll be a kind of a quiz questionnaire test with that. Only the answers don't matter. The questions do, and that's the best kind of questionnaire is the one that makes you think. So that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a case of, in this first week, you have to examine why you think a portrait is great because, or is successful because. You've got to examine those things because it affects everything. It affects the way that you draw. It affects the subjects you draw, the way the kind of how you light a subject. All those sort of things are affected by this perception of what makes a great portrait. So you have to get to the bottom of that and make sure that it's not basically somebody else's definition. And that's probably the hardest thing, because you don't know. so you don't know what rubbish is in there that's telling you you're no good, or you should do it this way. You don't know what's in there, and it's not until you start asking the questions of, does it really matter? Does that matter? Does this, this is good training for when you start to draw properly, because when you start to draw, you're sort of say, does that matter? What's important? All that kind of thing. I'm sure one of the weeks is simply about that. So that's the first week. The second week, which is based on the fact that suddenly you've found this new freedom this is my journey, and I'm doing it my way, kind of thing. Once you've found that, and it's your voice that you're going to follow, then the second week's about being fearless. So because this fearlessness is not fearing failure, not fearing that you will not meet somebody else's criteria, and how that impacts on the way you draw is quite significant, because not only does it affect what you choose to draw, back to the same thing again, but it will affect the way that you embark on the process, the way that you treat the process, the way that you make the marks. Although you need to be fearless in your mark making, but primarily your marks are going to be driven by your response, which is one of the weeks will be about response, and one of the steps is about response. So, but being bold and fearless is another one. You know, the fear of failure has to go, and you'll have no failure if you have no expectations. You know, the word will not be defined in your story. It won't be part of your story. So that's week 2. Being fearless is week 2 or step 2. Step 3, skipping the week. Step 3 is seeing. Now, this is not really just about seeing, because seeing, how we see things is impacted by often about how we feel about things. So it's not just about seeing with your eyes, it's seeing with your heart, if you like, to be able to sort of see something that's not necessarily visible but is visible. So that's one part of it. But the other part of seeing is only seeing what's relevant. There is a tendency to think, and a lot of this is back to stage 1 really, that execution is the thing that defines what you do. But execution is not the thing that defines what you do. Execution is simply the manifestation of what you do. It's not about that. And people get confused with, you know, drawing and painting and whatever, and they get the sort of if I don't know this, I can't draw. If I don't know that, I can't draw. If I don't know, you know, how to mix colour, I can't paint. You know, all that kind of thing. They get confused with what it is that this is really about. And it's often people, you know, the industry is geared towards technique and skills. You know, you're all the time, don't you? You've got to develop your skills, practice and develop your skills, and all that kind of thing. But the only skill you really need is observation, because if you can observe with accuracy, and it's not just about the detail of things. It's not just about the minutiae of hair or whatever. It can be ultimately, but initially it shouldn't be. You will respond accordingly. So response is not just responding to how you feel about it or responding to the subject and the way they like it and all the rest of it. It's also this thing of being able to see with accuracy, whether it's the colours that are contained or embedded within a particular thing, be it flesh or be it, you know, sort of a dress or a hat or whatever it might be. It's seeing those other things as well, but also it's also seeing with a level of meaning. So that if a face, there are, you know, and look at any face, and there's always, providing it's, you know, the source or it's lit, you know, if it's from life, providing the subject is lit properly, and even if it's not, because from life it's often easier because of the fact that they're in front of you and you can relate to them emotionally. This is what people don't tell you about working from life. It's because you can easily relate to them emotionally that it is. People say it's better. I agree, it is better for that fact, but we don't always have that luxury. So it doesn't mean to say that working from a photograph is any less skillful or artistic. It's just, I think it's a bit of a myth that people will say, oh, it's much better from life, and you know, people that kind of wear it as a badge and proclaim their skill because it's from life. But that aside, if you can relate and see a face for what it is, and identify what's important about that face, that's what you need to focus on. That's what makes it's invariably. It can be an item. It can be hair or eyes. It can be mouth or whatever it might be. It can be things, but it can also be the persona that you need to capture that makes this face. So it's not always about that, sort of visible seeing. It can sometimes be the emotional seeing side of things, so emotional observation. So seeing is the third week, and that really is quite a critical thing. What is it you're looking at? No, but what are you really looking at? That's the thing I'm going to say to you, and that's the thing you need to capture. And then number 4 is the response, and that will be basically a series of demos. Up until this point, it's just videos of me talking about certain things, and the first week is questionnaire, and the second 2 are just me talking about things and trying to illustrate what I'm saying. But in the fourth week, we're going to draw 4 portraits and put into practice what we talked about in the first 3 weeks, or 3 steps, and then also talk about the response aspect to it, because of all the things that we do as artists, we respond to the world. It's our response, and it's your response, not my response. We're all different. So that's what the final step is about. So we'll put into practice, we'll respond to the world in step 4, and it will be 4 portraits. So that's the workshop, which, as I said, is going to be over 4 weeks, and I'm going to release it over 4 weeks, but there'll be videos you can access at any time and continue to access once the 4 weeks are over. But I thought putting it into a week, a time frame of 4 weeks, it will give it an impetus, so that it's not just, but nevertheless, you'll still be able to do it at any time, and probably all elements in the same week if you wanted to. But it will start on the 1st of September, and I'll release things as we go over the 4 weeks. So if you're interested in doing this, if you want to look at a different way of making portraits, and something that's less focused on the craft and a bit more focused on the art, then and the meaning of what it is to make a portrait, then this is the workshop for you. Don't expect it to be me telling you how to hold a piece of charcoal or how to create the structure using geometry or whatever, because I ain't going to do that. Because at the end of the day, that isn't. There are plenty of courses that will show you how to do that, but none of them will show you how to put the magic into it. And I'm talking about the magic part of it, not the function, the craft. As I say, there are plenty of courses that do that. So if you're interested in doing this, just put a comment down below, and I'll send you the link to the page when I've done it. I'm just putting it together now. So as soon as I've done it, I'll send you the link, and you can sign up for it, and we'll make some better portraits. Trust me, a lot better.